Lavrov's African tour is designed to strengthen Moscow's ties with a continent that has a tangled legacy of ties with both the West and the former Soviet Union. African countries have largely avoided taking sides over the war in Ukraine. Many import Russian grain and increasingly energy, but they also buy Ukrainian grain and benefit from Western flows of aid and trade. The continent is also being courted by the West this week, with French President Emmanuel Macron and U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Mike Hammer, both making trips. Lavrov has already visited Egypt and will head from Congo to Uganda and then Ethiopia.
All right, Shalom. This is Harold 1 by Nyasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Harakah Kodash, Shema Amath. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, Nagwatim, and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. Yeah, you heard it for yourself in the clip in the beginning. Russia's courting Africa. All right. Now we know this is according to Ezekiel 38. This is one of the countries that's supposed to join up with Russia. All right. And as we saw last 2 weeks, you saw Russia meet up with the likes of Iran and Turkey, right, to calm down any issues over there in Syria and to bring them together as an axis against NATO, all right, America and NATO and the European Union. So that's all according to prophecy, man. So everybody's choosing their sides, all right? Everybody's being put in array against Babylon, against America, against the West, all right? So these are amazing times to be in. Now I saw where Russia went over there to Iran, and the reason they did that is because America that same week went to Saudi Arabia and Israel to try to bring them together. And to get Saudi Arabia to produce more oil to help with the energy crisis, all right, to lower prices. But Saudi Arabia said, no, we can't help you. We got to ask our plus one. Just so happens our plus one, OPEC plus one, that plus one is Russia. So so Russia's in the mix with everybody right now, making allies and better agreements, better deals. Going back to that Soviet Union mindset, trying to pull all those Soviet Union countries back under their thumb, under Russia's, trying to basically annex all these countries to Russia, all right, in some kind of way. So let's read the article a little bit, and I want to go into it because this prophecy is really happening right now, man. Ezekiel 38. And all these countries, it's literally being manifest. The Lord said He's going to turn back our captivity before our eyes. The reason I didn't do a lesson on this topic all week is because as soon as I saw Turkey, I knew where in the script in Ezekiel 38 where it says the north quarters, it's talking about Istanbul and their allies. It's talking about Turkey. And also you have Ethiopia that got to get involved. That's what I was waiting for, either Ethiopia or France to switch sides. Because France is a damn snake and they part of the NATO, but they playing both sides, man. All right. So all these nations are going to turn and go against America to protect their own sovereignty. All right. And the weak are saying they're strong. It says Russia's Lavrov courts Africa in quest for more non-Western friends. So, so they don't want no more friends from the West, man. And Russia's doing this to show that they're not isolated. They try to isolate Russia when ultimately America's going to be isolated. All right. This is Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me a destroying wind. So the Lord is raising up. He got a cake baked for this place, as they like to say in the mob. I'm gonna bake a cake for you. Well, the Lord has a missile, who's wasted to destroy. And he's raising it up through these nations. This sword has been furbished. And I will send unto Babylon fanners, all right, that shall fan her, man. And fanners just means enemies. And these nations, the Lord has created enemies out of these nations against America. And he's doing it right before our eyes, man. Seeing the power of the Lord cause a controversy between these nations. Every move America makes, Russia makes the same move. America goes to the Middle East, Russia went to the Middle East to show their power. Russia going to Africa, now America trying to go to Africa. See that? This is what, and they shall fan her, meaning scatter her, man, and shall empty her land. They're going to empty this place. For in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. See, the Lord is going to create this. In the day of trouble, when America's judgment, the Lord going to have all these nations against her round about. Against him that bendeth the bow, that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. All right? Because America had, like Yosemite Sam had all his cannons pointed at these nations. They even got something called the umbrella, to where if somebody was to shoot anything at America, they got an umbrella that would just shoot like all kind of missiles in every direction. It's just an automatic switch. You gotta look it up, man. And one of those missiles are pointed right at Russia. Just like Russia has their missiles pointed at Florida. They showed it in their examples when they were showing the videos. All right. And against him that bendeth let the archer bend his bow, man. So they got it ready. All right, they got what they call that, the preemptive strike. See, Russia doesn't have one against America at the moment. They have it, but they haven't set it up as far as the preemptive strike order. But now they put everything on the table. But America has something called the umbrella, preemptive strike. So they all got their missiles pointed at each other, man. And they had a stalemate in the room. And the Lord is going to cast a lot for America to be destroyed. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. So all these nations have beat their pruning hooks into spears, into missiles, pulled from their agricultural and economic resources, and they built up their military infrastructure and built these missiles and technology. That's why Russia's been preparing for 10 years, man. All right. So, that's right, man. Really, ever since 1991. That's how the Soviet Union fell. They started preparing for war and fighting against people like George Soros and against the European Union. That the Soviet Union had to put all their money into military infrastructure, and their economy fell because of that. All right. So now the archers are bending their bow, and against him that lifteth up his brigandine, And spare ye not her young men, destroy ye her all her Slakia. Destroy ye utterly all her hosts, man. All right, so the Lord's going to put it in these nations' minds to do His will. All right, get back to the article real quick. It says Kampala, Addis Ababa, July 25th. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov visited Congo Republic on Monday, the second leg of an African tour aimed at strengthening Moscow's ties with the continent that has refused to join Western condemnation and sanctions over the Russian invasion of Ukraine. All right, because Africa has a lot of deals with Ukraine, and Ukraine is basically with America right now, and NATO. So Russia's saying, "Hey, man, Africa, what you gonna do? Whose side you gonna be on? You know, whatever country did not try to sanction Russia over the Ukraine invasion, Russia's gonna join up with those countries." African countries which have a tangled legacy of relations with the West, basically America and the Western countries, and the former Soviet Union have largely, it's going back to that former Soviet Union, have largely avoided taking sides over the war in Ukraine. Many import Russian grain and increasingly energy too, but they also buy Ukrainian grain and benefit from Western aid flows and trade ties, man. All right, so the Lord is breaking up all their trade ties and agreements, having everybody choose a side, and then He's gonna go into the next phase where the war is going to begin. It already started, but I'm talking about the climax of the war, World War III. Africa is also being courted by the West this week, so they're in competition with each other right now, America and Russia. With French President Emmanuel Macron, he's a damn devil, due to visit Cameroon, Benin, and Guinea-Bissau, and the U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Mike Hammer, is on his way to Egypt and Ethiopia. See that they're aiming for Egypt, Uganda, Ethiopia, and the Congo. Lavrov has already visited Egypt, so America going over there to pick up scraps. And I can imagine they're not gonna like Biden, man. Just like when Biden went to Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabian prince just gave him a dap, like fist to fist, fist bump. Usually they greet each other more welcoming than that. It says Lavrov has already visited Egypt. They're already making their rounds. They're being ahead of the game now. And will head from Congo to Uganda and then to Ethiopia, where African Union diplomats said he had invited ambassadors from several member states to provide to a private meeting on Wednesday, dismaying Western donors, man. You know what I'm saying? So discouraging Western donors from meeting up with Africa. After they're like, oh shit, Putin already went over there. An invitation letter from the Russian ambassador to Ethiopia and the AU, sent to a number of African ambassadors and seen by Reuters, said the goal of the meeting was to deepen cooperation between Russia and African states. Two AU diplomats who spoke on condition of anonymity said the planned meeting, which would coincide with Hammer's visit, was causing friction among Western donors because it signaled a pivot towards Russia. So all these nations are turning towards Russia, man. And that's Ezekiel 38, all right? So you got Saudi Arabia siding with Russia right now. They proved it because they said no to the oil deal. And they said no to peace with Israel. And instead, they want to keep dealing with, they're going to move more towards Russia and more towards digital technology and away from the dollar. All right? And they're not going to produce more oil. So they're going to watch America suffer. And the prince agreed to a little bit, 25%, I think. And they're not going to, 75%, something like that. And they said they're not going to do it till 2027. So all hell going to break loose before then. All right, so all these nations are making a pivot, stopping in their path towards America, and they're making a pivot and turning towards Russia. Why? Because it's the Lord's will. Spokespersons for the AU, which is based in Addis Ababa, and for the Ethiopian Foreign Affairs Ministry, did not respond to the request for comment. In a column published in newspapers in the 4 countries included in his tour, Lavrov praised Africa for resisting what he called Western attempts to impose a unipolar world order. See that? Trying to start their own, like a new NATO and a new world, a unipolar world order. Basically part of their new world order. But Russia praised Africa for not joining up with them. We appreciate the considered African position as to the situation in and around Ukraine, he wrote in the column, adding that African countries had come under unprecedented Western pressure to join the sanctions. All right, so yeah, this is happening, man. In Congo Republic, a small oil-producing former French colony north of the much larger Democratic Republic of Congo, Lavrov visited President Denis Sassou Nguesso, who has been in power since 1979, with a 5-year gap from 1992 to 1997. All right, so yes, starting to drift off a little bit now. So, all right, this is Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog. All right, so prophesy against Russia, that area over there called Media or Russia. All right, also called Gog, which was one of the children of Japhet, but that land demographics is where Russia is today. All right, what you call what's the Kremlin? All right, Moscow, and then you have the Kremlin, which is the capital of Russia. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. All right, the chief prince, basically Moscow, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, basically those Eurasian countries, like I've been saying. Eurasia means Eastern Asia. So all of those countries were originally, just like Ukraine, they were a part of the Soviet Union, all right, Lithuania. So now most of those countries have been drawn to the side of NATO. So Russia wants all those countries back annexed to Russia. All right, and then rightfully so, because they're the prince of that, they're the rulers of that area, and America's in their backyard, according to Habakkuk chapter 2. They neither keepeth at home; they always in somebody else's business, setting up military bases right on the borders of Russia. All right, and that's what kicked off this war with Ukraine, called land grabs. Now you have it happening again Every move America makes, it starts the war. America going into Taiwan with Pelosi. They said they're going to shoot down Pelosi's plane because she's going over there to cause a divide between Taiwan and China, which are both Moabite countries. North Korea said they're ready because they're trying to bring war and strengthen South Korea against North Korea. All right, Israel with Iran. You see that? So they're stoking the war because America needs a war. America, the Biden administration, they need this war to happen so they could blame everything, the economy crashing that's coming, all these different issues, gas prices. They want to blame that on Russia. All right. In the midst of that, Esau will be trying to establish their new world order. All right. It says, verse 3, and prophesy against him. See, that's what is the point. Focus on Russia and prophesy against that place. So the Lord set up the prophecies with Russia. And say, thus saith Yahweh, power, behold, I am against thee. See, the Lord said he's against Russia. You know, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, on Moscow. All right, people like Putin, Vladimir Putin. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, meaning he's going to take control to intervene. All right. And the Lord said in Psalms, he controls the hearts of the kings and turns it whithersoever he will. And now is that time. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. And that's what happened. America was poking the bear, and now the bear has came out of hibernation. All right, going back to that old Soviet Union setting, Russia, Vladimir Putin. You can look it up. He's saying it. He wants the old Soviet Union back, and they're back ever since 2016 with the Brexit. Once the European Union, once the Soviet Union fell, that gave strength to the European Union on the scene. Once the Brexit happened, according to Daniel chapter 2, Russia, the European Union became weak. That strengthened Russia. All right. And now they're bringing it forth. Now the Lord is bringing Russia forth, Russia and all its armies. And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all the kind of military technology, man. You know, and drones included. All of them clothed with all sorts of armor, meaning protected with all kind of defense. Even a great company with bucklers and shields, missile defenses, you know, all of them handling swords, man. So all of them completely trained for this battle. Highly trained officers for this battle, man. Soldiers, super soldiers. They even say they got mutants over there. All kind of technology, you know, that they've given to these soldiers. Said they're shooting them and they just keep coming at them, blowing out their arms and legs, but the body keep coming at them, and they got to keep shooting them. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, right? All right, so they're going to be handling the swords, fully trained, man, all together. Just like Iran sending drones over to Russia this week to send off to Ukraine. Why? Because Russia is different from America. That's why the Lord is using America to pressure Russia into destroying it, man. All right? Provoking it. You know, because right now, at the moment, America, if it sends out drones into the air, it can also send out missiles. And it could also send up planes. Russia doesn't operate like that. It has to send up one or two at a time. If it has drones, it can only send out drones. Then it bring those back, and then it send out the planes. And, bring those back and send out something else. All right, but if they get the drones from somewhere else, like Iran, they can have them out at the same time as the planes and the missiles and whatever else. See how they doing? And then you can't forget China. It's looking bad for America right now, man. Russia creating that dream team. All right. And the spirit of the Lord is on Russia right now. You got a Russian president speaking scriptures. Saying the Lord put it into his heart to destroy America, basically. All right. Verse 5. Persia. Whoa. So all of them handling swords. Going to be who? Persia, which is Iran today. You see that? You've seen them join up with Iran. Ethiopia. Whoa. There you go. All right. So that you might include all those African countries. And Libya with them, man. Libya still want revenge on America and the West and NATO for what they did to Gaddafi. You got to read something called the Green Book. It was written by Gaddafi. I got it right here. I read it. And the whole book is about his war against NATO. All the stuff that NATO was doing. That's why I got it, to see the atrocities and the footprints of NATO, the beast. So it says Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So they're going to have all kind of defenses, all kind of military equipment set up. So all these nations are equipping each other, and Russia is helping to protect these countries as well. All right, excuse me. So basically, Russia is protecting these countries, and all these countries are agreeing to protect Russia. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, fully defense, man. Gomer and all his bands, which I believe, me personally, I believe Gomer goes into France a little bit, but hey, we'll see. And all his allies, they could switch sides and leave America, you never know. The house of Togomar of the North Quarters, and that would be Istanbul, which is called modern day Turkey. And I was waiting for that to happen. Edgerton, whatever his name is, and it didn't seem like they were interested. But I was like, nah, the Lord gonna change that. And now they're doing it. They still playing both sides, but they leaning more towards Russia, because Turkey is a NATO country, and for Turkey to meet up with Russia while they're meeting up with Iran, that was a bold statement from Turkey against NATO. All right, it says what? Togomar, which would be Turkey, of the North Quarters, Istanbul, and all his bands, so all Turkey's allies, and many people with thee, man. All these proxy nations are going to join up with Russia, and they're going to be against the land of Israel, the fake Jews over there, and they're going to be against America, right, for the war of Armageddon, which is going to be fought over there in what they call the East today, and they're meeting up in those areas. They're sending troops all up and down that area, man. So the word Armageddon means gathering of troops, and that's where they send a lot of troops at right now. And then ultimately World War III. And it says here, be thou prepared. So the Lord's preparing them. Russia said they've been preparing for 10 years. And China as well, they've been in the background just preparing for war. North Korea, all of them been building up while America has been exhausting all its resources while stealing resources, the Lord sent afar off the northern army. Sent what was it called Operation Desert Storm. I think it was 2003, 2004. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. See, Russia prepared itself and is preparing these nations now for World War III. And all thy company that are assembled unto thee. See, anybody that joins thee, that would say they're courting Africa and any countries that want to join Russia. That's prophecy. It says what? All thy company that are assembled unto thee. We're witnessing that happen. All these nations that are going to join Russia is being manifest. And all the nations, the few nations that's going to be with America, because America is going to be isolated, is mostly going to be the European Union, which they're the ones that's causing America to be stripped of its flesh and destroyed and burned. All right, they playing both sides. As you have the NATO, same countries in America, all right, Israel. After many days, so it says what? And be thou a guard unto them. So the Lord set up Russia to be the guard unto these nations. And that's what they're saying. That's what's happening. And that's how America got their power, by being a guard to those OPEC nations. Now Russia's the guard. Russia's the plus one. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter days, latter years, as now. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people. So they're going to come into the land of Israel, and they're going to destroy America. Against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations. See, the elect of Israel are going to be brought forth out of the nations. All right, so we still exist. Even though Russia's going to come against that land and against America, and it's going to be a judgment on 2/3 of these jakes, beautiful Israel, the true Israelites, are still going to what? Be gathered out of many people against the mountains. So like it is going to be brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. See, we're going to dwell safely in that land, even though Russia's about to destroy it with all the allies. They're going to destroy Russia, America, and Israel. But still, we're going to dwell there and be safe. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. The same way the Lord sent Nebuchadnezzar like a storm, or Nebuchadnezzar. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. All right, so they're going to cover the land of Israel and destroy it, and also America. Thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith Yahweh, it shall come to pass that at the same time things come into thy mind. See, the Lord gonna send these thoughts into Vladimir Putin's mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. So at that point, when he's destroying the land of Israel, or the Armageddon's kicking off, he's gonna think an evil thought and say, you know what? And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates, man. All right, and that's America. So the same way they at the back doors or the doorstep of Russia, Russia's going to be at the doorstep of America with submarines, with missiles, flybys, with planes, drones. You know, basically lay siege against this place. All right, so that's all prophecy happening, man. Ezekiel 38. And keep our heads on a swivel. The Lord said, be circumspect and watch.